welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and I am one of those incredibly lucky people that have been able to travel the world, and I recently hit my 50th country, which is insane, and I thought that I would share some wisdom with you that I have gained through going to all of these countries and meeting all the people that you meet when you go to these countries. Because it wasn't until I sat down and reflected on it that I was like, actually I've learned quite a lot from going to all of these places. Now, some of my traveling has been done by working on a cruise ship, some of it has been done backpacking, some of it has been holidaying with friends and family, but nevertheless 50 countries is pretty cool. The first lesson is friends are everywhere. So before I had travelled anywhere, I remember just having this feeling that I wanted to move to Australia one day. And I remember thinking at the time, but I could never do that because my friends and family are all here. I would be completely alone on the other side of the world. And something that I forgot, and is quite easy to forget when you haven't travelled before, is that you are going to meet people everywhere you go. And some of my best friends are people that I have met travelling. They're not necessarily just people that I've known from home. And the friendships that you make might just last the period of time that you're traveling, but some of them may last a lifetime. And it's really incredible to think, wow, if I hadn't have gone to that country, I would have never have met that person that enriched my life so much. Because I know that there's a lot of people who want to go traveling, but they're a bit too scared to go solo traveling, which, you know, is valid. Solo traveling is scary if you haven't done it before. So they're waiting on their friend from home or someone they know to basically go with them. But something I want you to remember is you are going to meet people when you get to this country. So although you might be on your own on the flight to the country, you won't be on your own for long. Because as soon as you get to a hostel, you're gonna meet people. And the beautiful thing about people who solo travel is if you're on your own, you're looking for friends. So going traveling, you're going to meet people who are open to making new friendships. You're never gonna go somewhere where they're like, no, you can't be in our clique because you don't wear pink. I think that's out of Mean Girls or something, but you know what I mean. Everyone is so open to making friendships that you don't need to be waiting on a friend from home to go traveling. You should just do it, because you are going to make probably the best friendships of your life when you're traveling. We are all the same. Now, working on cruise ships has enabled me to meet people from all races, all backgrounds, all cultures, religions, you name it, I've met them. And although we are all different and unique, at the centre, we all just want to be loved and seen and appreciated for who we really are. We all want enough money to be comfortable, we all want to be healthy, and we all want to be happy and to be able to make the people we love happy. And I think for me that was one of my biggest realizations. Like I said, through meeting those people and realizing that actually everyone is the same at the core, it unites us. And I think especially in the world we live in now, where the media are constantly trying to divide us, but it's a really beautiful thing when you realize actually we are all connected and we're all the same. It's not about where you are, it's about who you're with. And I'm not talking about friendships, people that you're physically with, I'm talking about you. You are with you all the time. So if you're talking to yourself negatively, if you're beating yourself up, if you're telling yourself that you can't do certain things, you're not going to have a good time. You could be in the most beautiful place, but if you're telling yourself you're ugly, you're fat, you're not good enough, then that place isn't going to stand out in your memory. And although traveling is going to help you with your mental state, which we will get into a little bit later, ultimately that is all that matters. The relationship that you have with yourself is the difference between you having an amazing time and a really shitty time. So remember that one. It's not about where you are, it's about who you're with. You. And following from that, I learnt what finding yourself really means. Before I went traveling, when people said, I'm going traveling to find myself, I was like, what does that even mean? What the hell? It wasn't until I actually did it myself that I was like, I get it. Finding yourself requires you to push yourself out of your comfort zone and to your limits. It requires you to talk to people that you would never normally talk to learn what you like about people and dislike about people, and either take things on for yourself or discard things, and that will help to shape your personality. It's about learning what you're good at and learning what you're not so good at, learning what you like and what you don't like. And how are you going to know that if you don't give things a go, if you don't try things? But I think most importantly, it's about learning to rely on yourself and being your best friend, and knowing that no matter what happens, you've got you. And I do believe that to do this, you have to leave the people that you have grown up with, your family, your friends, because although they only have good intentions for you, well, hopefully, they already have preconceived ideas about who you are, what you want to be. And sometimes we can be living under the weight of other people's opinions of us and not even realize it. And it's not until you get away from those that you're like, hang on, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do whatever my parents have been telling me that I have to do. I don't want to dress that way. I don't want to eat that food. I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I was brought up eating meat. I had meat for breakfast, meat for lunch, meat for dinner, and I didn't even question it because that's just simply how I grew up. But it wasn't until I went traveling and saw how other people lived, and they were vegetarian, they were vegan, and had different diets, that I started to question my own. And ever since then, I'm vegetarian and I love it. But if I hadn't have gone traveling, I would have never asked myself those questions and therefore never made that change. And sometimes you need to be around total strangers to feel comfortable enough to actually make that shift, whatever that shift may be. And when you find yourself and learn to trust yourself and rely on yourself and know that you are your best friend, that's also where confidence comes in, because you know that you don't need anyone else. And that's a really liberating feeling. The comfort zone needs a push. We all have a comfort zone, and it is never still. It is either getting bigger or getting smaller. And the less you do, the smaller it gets, until you get to a point where ordering a different coffee from Starbucks gives you anxiety. And the more you do, the more pushes you give that comfort zone, the easier life becomes. And something that once felt really uncomfortable is now within your comfort zone. So for example, working on ships. Packing up my life to go and work and live on a cruise ship for 6 months used to scare me to death. Whereas now it is well within my comfort zone and I don't even give it a second thought. But that's because I am constantly pushing my comfort zone boundaries. Now, I'm not saying that you have to travel to 50 countries to have a healthy comfort zone level, but I am saying that this is something that I have observed through the thousands of people that I have met. The less you do, the less you want to do. And it's always going to be scary to jump outside your comfort zone, but it is necessary, because if you're not pushing yourself, you are limiting yourself and your comfort zone is getting smaller, until one day you are going to wake up and leaving the house is going to make you nervous. And that's been the biggest difference, you know. It's always made me curious. Like, you can meet some people who are more than happy to go to Kenya solo traveling, and then you meet other people who are scared of driving on the motorway. It's all about stepping outside your comfort zone normal. So maybe ask yourself, what have you done lately to step outside your comfort zone and push yourself? And I'd actually be really interested to know, so please leave it in the comments if you can think of something. And if you can't think of something, let me know what you're going to do next to push yourself outside your comfort zone, because like I said, it's either shrinking or getting bigger, so it's necessary. I learned how to listen to my instinct and intuition. So we are all animals, we all have an instinct, we all have intuition. However, when we are in our comfort zone, our instinct is dialed all the way down, because we don't need it. We know what happens when we roll up to Starbucks. We know what happens when we get to the office and Greg is going to be the first person to say morning. We know what happens when we get home from work. You don't need your instinct, because you know exactly what's going to happen. So something happens like meeting a new person and you're desperately trying to listen to your intuition about what it's telling you about this new person you've met. But you can't hear it because you don't know what it sounds like, because your instinct has been dialed down for the last 5 years. Traveling is new and exciting, and anything new, your brain perceives it as dangerous, because your brain's primary job is to keep us safe. And that's why humans like routine, because it's safe. So because our brain thinks we are in danger, because we're in a new situation, it's going to dial that instinct and intuition right up. And you're going to learn how to listen to your intuition and your instinct. You're going to know what it sounds like. You're going to know what it feels like. Like, yep, that's my intuition telling me not to do this or to absolutely do this. So if you want to get more in tune with your instinct and your intuition, then you need to put yourself in a new situation, because that's when you're going to have it dialed up. The world is kind. So this kind of leads on from friends are everywhere. We're all human, we all crave connection and attention. And it's bizarre to me how some countries are portrayed in such a negative light. But honestly, I have yet to go somewhere where I felt truly unsafe or even just unwelcomed. Now granted, I have done a lot of my traveling on cruise ships, so we tend to go to safer areas and places where you are going to be more welcomed. However, the places I've been backpacking, or even if I've just got off in a country on a cruise ship, but I've had the time to venture deep into that country and really explore, everyone I've met has only ever been kind and tried to help me and tried to ensure that I have a wonderful time in whatever country I'm in. Now, of course, there are areas in every country that are dangerous, and of course there are bad people wherever you go, but it's a very small percentage. And the way I think about it is, you know, there's potential that I might get into trouble if I go traveling, but there's also potential that I might get in trouble in my hometown in the UK. There are bad places everywhere, and I just don't think that that should be a reason that people don't travel, because it's so rare that you will encounter that. Because for the most part, people are good and kind and loving and welcoming. And I feel very lucky to say that that's pretty much all I've experienced, which has been amazing. Expanding your viewpoints. So by meeting people who are from different backgrounds, have different beliefs, different traditions, outlooks on life, it basically makes you realize that there is truly beauty in diversity, and that your way of living isn't necessarily the right way. It's not wrong, but it's not the only way of living. Just like eating meat for every meal until I was like 19. It wasn't wrong, but there's also other ways of doing things. And by being exposed to these people, you can pick and choose what you take for yourself. You know, there might be a way of living that you want to adopt into your own life. There might be ways of living that you're okay with leaving there. But it is good to experience it and get to know it. Change comes from within. So have you ever heard the saying, wherever you go, there you are? Basically, you can try and outrun your problems, but you can never outrun yourself. And this is scary, because if you go traveling and leave your circumstances, which is what you believe was the problem, but then you realize that you're still not in a great place, and you realize, oh, it's me that's the problem, or, you know, there's something going on. It means that you have a lot more work to do on yourself. But on the bright side, traveling is going to help you heal your mind, because as we've talked about so far, you get to know yourself, you learn to be your best friend, you learn to rely on yourself, and that in itself is going to promote change. But your circumstances and your traveling and your experiences are only going to be able to change you so much. 90% of change really does have to come from within. Less scared of the world. Because your comfort zone stretches, you are less anxious, less stressed, and less fearful. And when you are feeling those three emotions, you absolutely cannot also feel gratitude and have perspective, which are so important for you being able to feel happy. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about medically diagnosed anxiety and stress, but if you're just generally anxious about the smallest things, it's time for you to push yourself and expand your comfort zone. And yes, it will be scary, but this will have a compound effect. The more you do it, the less anxious you will feel whenever you do something new. And therefore, the less scared you will be about day-to-day things, but also the world, because you know that you can deal with whatever happens. Money is just a tool. What makes us happy is experiences and people. And money is just a tool to enable us to do that. I thought I'd be happy when I had saved up a large amount of money and, you know, I had a nice number in the bank. And sure, it makes you feel more relaxed because you don't have to worry about paying bills, but it doesn't affect your happiness. I think it was Jordan Peterson who said, after you earn $60,000 a year, money has no effect on your happiness. If you have loads of money but no experiences or people to share it with, you're going to be miserable. Just like if you have loads of experiences on offer to you and people, but you have no money to do them, you're going to be miserable. But you're not miserable about having no money. You're miserable about not being able to have those experiences and be with those people. So don't get it twisted. Money is just a tool that will allow us to do things that make us happy and meet people that make us happy. Owning nothing is everything. Society has us all in a rush to buy a house, get married, maybe have children, but this is what's best for society, not necessarily what is best for you. Owning a house is one of the most expensive things you can do, because not only do you have to find an extortionate deposit, then you obviously have to pay your mortgage off every month, you have to furnish the house, and then you also want to keep up with the Joneses. You know, you want to have the best looking house, so you're going to go to HomeSense and buy some really nice cushions, or you understand what I mean. So you end up spending all of the money that you are earning on this house, and it's basically an anchor. You're spending all of your money on that, so you can't afford to go on holiday or go traveling or have these experiences with the people you love. I don't own a house, and honestly, the older I'm getting, the less attractive it is, because then you are stuck in that one place. Now, for some people, they love that. They are homemakers, and there's no judgment if that's what you want. However, I do think there's something beautiful in not owning anything, so you're not actually tied to any destination. You can go anywhere in the world. Growth is a luxury. While a lot of developing and confidence comes from hardships, going through things, learning to rely on yourself, you got you, remember? It's important to sit with yourself and ask yourself those important questions like, why do I do this? Why do I act this way in this kind of situation? Why do these kind of comments make me angry? And for this, you need time and space. Now, if you're working every hour God sends just to put enough food on the table, and you're worried about how you're going to pay the rent next month, you don't have the mind space to start asking yourself these questions, which are going to lead to you growing as a person. So if you do have the time and the mind space to be able to ask yourself these questions and do some self-analyzing, it really is a luxury. Curious, not furious. When you go traveling, of course you are going to see things that you maybe don't agree with, you don't understand, maybe you even take offense to some of them, but it really isn't your place to pass judgment. Now, of course you can ask questions and try and understand it, but your judgment isn't something that's ever going to get a positive response. So keep an open mind and try and take nothing personally, because very often it isn't about you and it isn't personal. And the more you travel, the less judgment that you will actually carry within you, because your mind opens and it will expand, and your comfort zone expands, and everything expands. So, I mean, the more you see, the less you're shocked, right? So always be curious and not furious. But those are the 14 things that I have learnt by going to 50 countries. But I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then please let me know in the comments, because I know it's a little bit different to videos that I normally do, and make sure you smash that like button. But I hope you have a wonderful day today. I'm in Amsterdam, so I'm going to go to the tulip fields today, which is going to be really lovely. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye.